Back again in Emoji Gaming. So this time I tried to play the Need for Speed 2015 for the first time. So there's still some download that we need to install first, but I decided to skip it since this is actually the first time that I inserted this for testing purposes in case anything goes wrong. So the Need for Speed 2015 is actually the first Need for Speed remake, or I don't know, the trilogy of Need for Speed that basically turned into the original Need for Speed again, like the one that was released quite a while ago, such as the Underground or the Most Wanted, where there's a lot of modification that we can done with the vehicles. But yeah, since this is still the first time that they try to do so, so it's kind of weird, especially when it comes to the gameplay environment, since the engine seems to be quite weird. Besides, the vehicles that basically available in this game is not that much. Consider this is actually the game that was released in 2015. So yeah. So there's several types of play which I don't understand, because maybe it just some of it just refer to online. I don't know. But I obviously cannot play it online since I haven't subscribed into the PlayStation Plus. But actually this also the Need for Speed compared to other trilogy that still use the static difficulty into the game, so you cannot choose whether your opponents goes as fast as you or not, because everything was just the same. It's already defined. Maybe it's basically a normal difficulty. I usually try to play it in the easy difficulty if I don't use any trainer to the game, because yeah, I just want to collect more cars and modify it without having to do any performance upgrades. But yeah, sadly, I'm actually a little bit stuck into somewhere in the story of the game, which I need to do over and over again in order to spend some cash on the performance upgrades, which basically didn't change anything about the cars. Just don't understand why there's no sounds at all in this game. Maybe I just forgot that I actually mute the microphone during the recording on Zoom. And yeah, they're trying to combine between the real life action footage and the game footage. Basically, this already happened quite a while ago in the Need for Speed Underground 1 or Most Wanted. But yeah, it is actually better. The transition is more clear, unlike the Need for Speed Most Wanted or Need for Speed Underground 1, which basically just a green screen of real people inside. So the transition is not that clear. You can see the differences. Even though at some point I was initially thought it was not real person, but I turn out I realize it is actually the same people that often appear in many movies. I don't know. We're just using an old word, I guess. So it's really try to represent the real racer, street racer from the beginning. And yeah, we can only do the city or go around the city only at night. So the time was basically freeze for some reason. To be honest, since this is actually a night, so all of the environment is not really clear. So at some point there's kind of like realistic, especially when you try to combine real life footage. The Ghost Engine is what it's called for this game. Well, I'm not sure how long that it takes to complete this game, but if you talk about the latest installment of with the Ghost Engine, which is the Need for Speed Heat, it is not very long because I already complete those games almost 3 times. Just like any other games that try to focus on ourselves. So basically all of the conversation is actually pointed passively. So there's they basically can interact without having to do any response. So it's kind of like a robot autopilot, autopilot mode. Because yeah, they're trying to make us as any kind of representation as possible. So some words that basically use as the change of the subject is never with the specific gender. So it's always used as a neutral gender, which is you. So he or she, her, him is never used in here. Basically, this cutscene can adapt according to what our modification with the car. So basically, they still use a little bit green skin there and try to combine it very good. So doesn't really see quite, even though maybe because they never really open the door or do something else, which is quite hard to do with the green screen, obviously. So all of the tuning or the brands is some of it are actually real as well, like the RWB, which is available in this game as a cameo, I guess. But of course, if you talk about the gameplay when it's already inside the game, you cannot see the character clearly who drive the car. And I just don't get it why the first race is just so impossible to win. I don't know how. Maybe because the controlling of the car is not really good. No, why? Because it's pretty different than when I already played Need for Speed Heat several times, which basically can drift with just touching the right trigger 2 times, tapping, and I don't know how to drift in here, but obviously way harder was used to be. It will eventually to be because Need for Speed is actually the third game, which is released on 2019. For some reason, there is a real cars and a non-real cars. See, the one that cannot be modified is real cars because they can basically try to make it in the real life, try to add it directly into the scene without having to do any green screen. So there's a lot of cutscene in the first mission, the first story. But to be honest, I just don't get it. What's the purpose of us in this game? Because unlike where we just basically a new guy, just like the Need for Speed Heat, as the previous guy decided to give up, like the Need for Speed Payback, which just like it stated in the name, so it's all about revenge. Weird revenge that basically can be avoided easily. So it's not like a setup. There's actually, but that kind of story is a little bit interesting than just new people come to the city and try to climb across the ladder until they eventually success being a boss in the city. And I just don't get it why this car is just hard to control. And it cannot even get paused for some reason. I just don't get it. Oh, that's the reason why I'm quite forgot that even though this game is actually offline, but for some reason we can actually meet other peoples inside the game. So basically, by default, the game was actually off online games, but I don't really see as much as player that I used to see in For Speed Heat. Besides, yeah, this game is already quite old, so maybe people are no longer play it again because I think most of the cars that are available in this game is actually available on the next installment as well. So the only thing that basically different maybe it's just the story, the race, and the city. Basically, no emotion at all, just being a silent reader, watching everyone's interact with each other. Yeah, that definitely a man hands. So yeah, I think the cameraman that act as a player is obviously a man neutral gender. It's pretty hard to see a different gender working with a different type of job. Yeah, if you talk about the other characters, the supporting one, basically it's quite diverse, I guess. And yeah, this game is actually tried to be played with steering wheel as well, but sadly it is not supported for my Trustmaster 458 steering wheel. So it can only be played using the steering wheel in the joystick mode, which is pretty annoying since we cannot connect to joystick or DualShock controller into the same player. So when I try to open up the map and navigate it, it is really painful since I need to switch into the joystick first and connect it again. I guess I quite forgot. I cannot even press nitros because the mapping from the steering wheel into the joystick is pretty weird. But of course, this game is not as big as the Need for Speed Heat in terms of file size because the cars that are available in this game is not as much as the Need for Speed Heat as well. Even Heat is actually the biggest among all of the three games, obviously. So the game will eventually develop into a bigger size. So I don't know whether the next installment will be like, I don't know how big it is. Storage is may decrease in terms of price, but if you talk about things that commonly sell right now, it's just an SSD. So SSD is still pretty expensive for big storage. Man, the card's just already very broken. Just don't get it. Why? Because I just wait to the phone call to end before entering the garage. To be honest, after I played all of the three games, I still don't really like it as well. Because yeah, in the payback, we cannot set the difficulty as well, I guess. Really sure. So at some point, if I didn't do any performance upgrade, I will never win the race. So we're already halfway of the video, and still there's no sound at all. But well, it's okay. It's just making my voice clear, since that's the only thing that you can hear from the video later. I just don't get it why RWP sticker in the windshield is applied to GTM cars like this. That's definitely a real cars and real environments. Man, I think the maximum time that I'm quite confident to hold the phone in my hands just around 20 minutes. So the rest of it just need to switch position over and over again, I guess. So yeah, it eventually transition into the real gameplay. Obviously, they're trying to make the environment as similar as possible with the set that they are already prepared in real life. It's quite unique since if you talk about the Need for Speed Payback or Need for Speed Hit, there's nothing like this kind of transition. So yeah, there's a little bit advantage in here, even though there's not many things that we can do. Let's just gathering money because everything was just quite expensive, but the amount of money that we can get from race, I think maximum is only 1,000. I'm not sure. So the Subaru BRZ is already modified with TE37 wheels, and just like the two next installment of the Need for Speed, which is the community wrap, which is basically the best feature that I always like from this game, because we can choose many kinds of unique paint jobs without having to create it in the first place. So yeah, it's pretty convenient. That's the reason why the game still needs an internet connection to play. Because yeah, they just wanted to keep this feature alive, having to do a separate connection, perhaps. Not really sure. I just don't get it why the most popular female or community web is not unique or popular that I know. Maybe people just try to download the first one and just to follow other people's using the same thing. So I eventually choose the police car since I don't know, it's will be quite interesting. We don't really do a lot of police chase in this game yet. So even though obviously didn't have any advantage to reduce the police chase into you. Just don't get it. Why the Toyota is just never be available in these games. I think there's a copyright or license issues with the developer. So we cannot see the Supra or any other cool JDM from Toyota. Hmm. Just don't get it why I just eventually stopped the Need for Speed 2015 and tried to continue into the game that I want to sell during that time, which is the Dragon Quest Builders 2. Wondering why I combined it into a single video. I just realized it now. So the reason why I sell the Dragon Quest Builders because I don't really like the games that basically not realistic and cartoonish, and I just don't get the purpose of the game. Besides, it's actually the games that was bought by my college friend. So when I tried to buy the PlayStation 4 from him, I also bought all of his games, including this one, which I eventually sell it because I will never play it. Besides, it's also available on Nintendo Switch, so I just try to focus the games that basically are available on Nintendo Switch to be out there instead of the PlayStation 4 because the Nintendo Switch is basically the best portable console that's been a while that I didn't see. Maybe because at the time when I played PlayStation Portable, I never really used to play with the Universal Media Disc or UMD. So I never see the advantage of the UMD because UMD is quite expensive. So during that time, I'm still trying to use my parents' money to buy those kind of things. So I eventually tried to use the constant firmware, which pretty simple because we can download any games that are available and try to insert it into the SD card Pro Duo. just realized that you mute the microphone and turn on your audio from your Dragon Quest builders. So all of the footage from Need for Speed 2015 is not recorded. So I decided to continue the progress just to see the game still works before I sell it, when it was successfully entered the game, it's basically already worked, obviously. It's pretty weird to see the graphic or the size of the games that basically quite small for PlayStation 4 resources. But yeah, sometimes this kind of game is still quite popular for some people. Just want to play a game cozy without too much stressful with the storyline or just complex things inside modern games. Maybe it's well, I'm not sure. The world seems to be like Minecraft, but in a more third-person way, as you can control the character in the open world games. Just don't know why there's those kind of random things. Then I was forward to lower box until it go too deep into the ocean, which is not possible. So I don't know how can I go back to the surface. There's kind of staircase. seems a little bit lethal. This bug. It's just so hard to reach the top of the water. It's a little bit annoying. So already the end of the video. I think the last time that I'm not mistaken, I will fight a boss and die, I guess. So yeah, this is the boss. So there's some giant monsters. So my health is already critical, I guess. Sleep after this. Then die. The games just doesn't make any sense. Just don't get it how to quit this game. Besides using the PlayStation 4 controller. Secure it. Back at the title screen. Yeah, 30 seconds remaining. So yeah, I think that's all for this video. So I will sell these games for around $20.